afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. For those of you celebrating Easter, happy Easter. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, March 31, last day of the month. A little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, 2024. Quote from Wayne Dyer: "Everything is perfect in the universe, even your desire to improve it." One of the greatest sensations in this life is the feeling that everything does work out perfectly in the end. In the midst of all the global fear, societal confusion, informational overload, we always have the option to step back from it all, see life from a more spiritual perspective. Everything relaxes the moment we see behind the material curtain and witness our reality from the spiritual dimension of existence. With one glance into this awesome dimension, we realize how every event in this life is guided by a highly intelligent, deeply loving, infinite force. And this spiritual plane is steering the entire ship of humanity. We just don't see it so clearly when living behind this material mask and dusty curtain. So we must choose to stop and consciously peer behind the veil of this physical world and realize another higher dimension is there. It has exquisite, benevolent intelligence, surpassing anything AI could ever do, and is the only force truly behind the wheel. Just take a deep breath in and look beneath the surface at your physical body. See the source of consciousness inside your being, and notice how it operates through you in your everyday world. The spiritual world exists here. It exists everywhere. It's guiding you through a unified field of energy that pervades everyone and every living thing in this entire universe. Every one of us are the light. I believe many of us don't know this, but we are the light. This spiritual intelligence that on this planet we call God is the most benevolent, graceful, creative energy that has the highest loving purpose for all beings. We might say it's the heart of God, or a force of the purest love that guides everything. It is currently directing everyone to the most enlightened, loving, intelligent future possible. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Remember that the mind is a master of not being able to see through the veil. We always forget the spiritual world is our true home, and we cannot remember that we're all headed there next. Right after this lifetime is over, take a deep breath and feel with all of your heart what's beneath the surface of this material universe. Feel the spiritual source of consciousness inside you and behind it all. Notice how are the eternal witnesses watching everything, and this watcher is guiding you through this world. When you can sit back from the mind, refocus on this divine field behind it all, you'll see that right now the greatest rebirth is happening for humanity. Everything is unraveling itself naturally to unveil the highest truth that has been hidden from our eyes. Remain focused on feeling this field of divinity. It is always guiding us. And we will easily remain perfectly calm through the remainder of our life. So no matter how old you become, or how challenging this life may seem to be, you realize everything is temporary except for the spiritual world. A real good quote from Albert Einstein. A new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move on to higher levels. A new type of thinking, right? A new earth. A new, entirely new existence for all of us. How is that brought about? By focusing on the now. By being in the moment. By making the choice to go within and practice going within all the time. And eventually, every one of us will discover really, truly who and what we are in these bodies. The rational, intellectual, analytical mind is unable to feel any aspect of this spiritual field. They can't feel it. Okay? All it knows is material, physical. The mind just gets attached to another thought and story. Set aside the mind. Fall into your deepest inner silence. Drop into the heart to know it. It might take you 4 minutes or 4 years to get there, yet it's worth it to feel the great spiritual essence is inside you and behind everything around you. Now, some people probably with their ego minds would argue the fact that everything that's happening is supposed to be happening. Right? And everything that's happening on this planet, in this very now moment, is supposed to be happening. The spiritual dimension of life reveals itself automatically when the mind becomes quiet. Everything quickly becomes crystal clear. It's not easy to quiet the mind, we know that. Yet you will know when you've shifted out of its grasp, because your body will respond by allowing you to breathe deeply and fully in your belly again. While humanity is purging and restructuring itself, this is exactly what's going on. Spend as much time as you can in your heart. Feel the light of divinity within you. Open your heart wider. By finding this natural beacon of light within yourself, you brighten the lives of others. Simple awareness of the warm light of divinity within you will set your inner spiritual fire ablaze. And it can happen quite fast. By keeping a relaxed body and a mind that is focused in this present moment, now, where the field of divinity exists, you will soon begin to feel the divine warmth inside you. Keep focusing your entire mind into the now. Not leave this moment and see what happens. Relax every tiny muscle inside. Release all tension or tightening in your body. When you feel a moment of lightness, bathe in this expansive energy. Follow it where it wants to lead you. You will soon start to see a beautifully bright, flawless future coming ahead, shaping you and the future of your world. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Rumi. This is a huge, massive, unprecedented spiritual awakening. It's the greatest spiritual awakening in existence in all the past. Everyone is being individually upgraded to 5D consciousness, where we will shift out of polarity thinking, us versus them, and begin operating as one unified organism and planet. This is a spiritual rebirthing for each one of us on a unique and individual level. So, we will get to reap what we have sown in the past. And whatever actions you do in the future will be met in your final harvest at the very end. So take as much responsibility as you can for creating more peacefulness inside yourself each day. If we had a peace scale measuring, right, that could measure how much inner peace we experience each week, how much would it be? Is it only a few moments in the morning and evening? Or do we feel deep ease all day long? What do you think will change or improve this? You are here to become lighter, freer, aren't you? Trust your intuition. The wisest guru is your inner you. One of the most powerful tactics to awakening our spiritual awareness that we can adhere to during this time is this. Practice letting go of this physical dimension of life and feel the lightness that's behind the veil. Peer past the complex matrix of the mind and see how this is the only place you can take all of your power back. This comes from being 100% responsible for the state of spiritual connection or disconnection that you're experiencing in every moment of each day. Taking more responsibility for how you're creating every experience of your life means feeling more powerful and at peace. You will blame the outer world less. Love others more. See that your freedom is always an inside job. You can always choose to be free from any heaviness you're carrying right now in this very moment, instead of continuing to energetically drag it along from your past. See how taking even more responsibility for seeing the higher spiritual purpose behind existence is one of the main reasons your soul came to earth. When you see it, automatically you'll begin to live your life without any fear whatsoever. This fearlessness finds you the moment you start walking your spiritual path. The spiritual heart knows without a doubt that everything will work out perfectly in the end. All problems are spiritual problems, Wayne Dyer. Our great journey on this planet into seeing this perpetual spiritual experience of life begins with our awareness. When we are vigilantly aware of when our body-mind contracts in fear, we can release it. To sit back in your awareness and acknowledge this. Behind every fearful thought is the vast infinite field of divinity. It is still here. It never left. The mind is simply putting on an entertainment show for you, blinding you from seeing it. Yet with this scintillating pure awareness, you will stop getting hooked on that fear-based movie and any low vibration negative thinking. Be aware that the screen inside your mind is 100 times more captivating and hypnotizing than the screen you're looking at, reading, seeing, listening. Your mind has already blinded you. It speaks many truths and many lies. And your job is to tell which one is which. As you become more aware and your awareness gets stronger like a bright fire, this light will free you from the darkness. All the over-controlling, fear-based thinking patterns will dissolve in the light of this inner fire. And your spiritual awareness expands the light and does its main job to set you free. You will either step forward into growth or you will step back into safety. Maslow. With a clear-minded, open-hearted thoughtless way of being is so super easy to see that this whole universe is divinely orchestrated. Everywhere we go, we see and feel that every moment of our life is perfect, divinely on track. We can see how everything is consciousness in different forms, how every atom is guided, and every event is this universe conspiring to awaken you, to experience the grand truth of who you are. The soul, or present moment awareness, is the state of pure consciousness in you. This space has no fixed opinion about anything. It is simply here to experience all the good, bad, sweet, and salty aspects of life. It does not need to control anything. Once you find this state of pure consciousness inside you, you can live inside it and naturally discover a higher perspective that sees everything and everyone is always the way it should be. The trusting track that exists free from the mind knows how each thought and action is divinely orchestrated to the finest perfection, no matter what our inner control freak may believe is true. Your heart knows the way. Run in that direction, Rumi. The deeper unconscious issue, however, is that something inside you is not always aware of a spiritual dimension. It has separated the physical from the spiritual world in its mind. It does not allow them to coexist together. So it feels incapable of living in the spiritual reality or believing it's already here now. This unhealthy part of our psyche is like our inner control freak who feels threatened by naivety, to believe everything will work out perfectly in the end. Now, your inner control freak ignores the experience of knowing how the spiritual dimension is really in charge of everything in existence. This untrusting doesn't understand how everything could always be in divine orchestration. The control freak is that aspect of ourselves who cannot understand how to surrender to God and trust in this life. It always believes that it needs to be steering your life if it wants to feel safe, happy, or free. Our inner control freak might think God is in charge to some degree, yet somehow it doesn't trust God 100%. It doesn't see the bigger picture. It believes that its desires and God's desires are not always aligned. It forgets to see how this sacred invisible force is guiding every atom in this universe 100% of the time. The inner control freak feels this need for total control of life, just so it can feel safe from any possible negative experience. It wants you to live your life on purpose and to do everything you can to make you feel happy. Yet, this inner control freak is not about absolute freedom. It yearns to control everything, steering the wheel around every little corner, believing this absolute level of control will make you always feel safe, relaxed inside. It's kind of like relax, nothing is under control. When we become acutely aware of our need to control life to fit our agenda, we see it's based on a habit of fear, doubt, and mistrust. Through awareness of it, we have just taken one step towards being free from it. The lack of awareness of our inner control freak only makes us suffer because by default it wants to remain in control over every little thing. It thinks it always knows what's right and wrong, and this will make you feel safe. We follow the control freak's thought patterns, not because it always knows what's best or that it will only make good decisions in this life, but we follow because we don't know anything else. We are too afraid to look behind the curtain and see what would happen to our lives in the event we surrendered to a higher divine plan and trusted 100% all day long that everything is always unfolding exactly as it should. Dive into your heart center. Sit in the silence. Desire self-realization with all your heart, with all your mind, and all your soul. Cry out for God, and you will be with the right people. Everything will take care of itself. Robert Adams. Unknowingly, we put ourselves in challenging life situations that make our inner control freak happy, and ones that also frustrate the hell out of it. The secret here is knowing how to be at peace no matter what occurs. When your inner control freak doesn't get exactly what it wants, how do you usually respond? Are you going to freak out? Be a slave to its emotional upheaval? Or are you going to allow your inner control freak to ruin the peaceful freedom you get from abiding in your heart? If you can live, when you can live, today, with 100% trust in your heart, how do you think your inner control freak will respond? This universe is saying, allow me to flow through you unrestricted, and you will see the greatest magic you have ever seen. The choice is always yours, whether you follow the motive of your inner control freak or not. Your mind has this automatic mechanism inside it that says, the moment life doesn't agree with my plan, I will either fight, freeze, or fly away. When things happen against my ego's desires, then this entire world is against me. This is the moment the inner control freak takes full control, becoming a tyrant who will never allow you to feel weak, powerless, or small. When you can see your inner control freak is inside you all day long, making decisions for you, you will begin to realize how everything and everyone in your life is a teacher for your awakening. There rarely are 5 to 10 seconds where this inner controlling mechanism is not at work. As you start to understand how pervasive it is, how your inner control freak is always forcing you to live in a smaller fishbowl of truth, making you afraid to live a bigger life from an oceanic truth, you start to ignore your inner control freak and naturally let it go. Enlightenment is not about imagining figures of light, but of making the darkness conscious. Carl Jung. The inner control freak does have a very important spiritual purpose, or it wouldn't be here. It is here to wake you up from the dream. By creating so much false security, safety, followed by tension and fear in your life, you simply are forced to step into surrender and trust. You can try to spiritually, convince the inner control freak that everything is going to work out for the highest good. Yet there's nothing that anyone could say to make it believe everything is going to turn out perfectly in the end. No matter what great spiritual or religious argument the greater minds on earth could conceive of, the mind will always summon up another doubt, another fear, or disbelief, saying, what if XYZ happens? Then what? Sure that a lot of us have experienced that. No matter what, it's always doomy gloomy. So how do we help the inner control freak let go of fear and believe everything is happening for the highest good of all? The discovery begins with how closely you're listening to your mind and your body. When you become more attentive and more sensitive to it every day, the body will give you signals of not trusting or trusting. Most of the time, I would say the majority of the time, we don't trust because our control freak isn't secure about it. That means ourselves, and then others. We live in the perfect process created by this universe, and we're doing that perfectly, whether we realize it or not. Okay. When we are deeply trapped in the mind of this inner control freak and living for years with this tight, white-knuckled grip on life's steering wheel, our body will feel tight. Our shoulders, back, neck, filled with tension or some form of tension. This is the body's attempt at doing whatever it can to wake you up from believing in the thoughts of your inner control freak. These negative thoughts are making your body respond in pain, while the positive thoughts are liberating you from the pain. When you can feel the pain while seeing the illusions you're creating with the mind that are making the pain manifest, then you can release it through tears and laughter. Relax deeper into your body, and your consciousness becomes much more clear. If every day is an awakening, you will never grow old. You will just keep growing. The moment we surrender to every experience in this life, we start knowing every single life experience is the perfect experience for our awakening. The untrusting part of you begins to acknowledge the greater plan and begins to honor the synchronicity. It does this deeply. Let go of your attachment to your inner control freak and its lifelong story of suffering. When you truly let go, you feel this kind of momentary free fall into the vast unknown, which is initially deeply terrifying. Yet, when you honor the spiritual intelligence behind it all, you relax into the free fall, you find an even deeper, expansive inner voice that says, even though I'm not in control right now, everything is going to be perfectly okay. Think of your inner control freak as a powerful computer program that was designed to remain in doubt, separation, possessiveness, jealousy, attachment, shame, blame, guilt, and fear. You don't have to participate in the computer's fearful drama program if you don't care to. You can stop the program completely through pure awareness alone. You are just borrowing the software and the hardware body that comes with it for a few trips around the sun. One final day, you will have to let go of it all. So, one cannot even imagine doing anything other than follow the computer program, which is always doing whatever it can to remain safe and in control. This control is always there and is a constant fear-based motive and a distraction to your spiritual path. The spiritual path is always about surrender. How you can surrender even deeper to the infinite light of awareness within your being. Detach from the mind, which simply has become over-identity. It's become over-identified with thoughts and all of its past programming. This universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself, and everything that you want, you already are, Rumi. During our final laps around the sun, we can practice unhooking the mind from its thoughts by allowing the mind to be super still without having any desire or focus at all. Our inner internal computer program will eventually slow down and stop. We will suddenly wake up and see that our inner control freak is nowhere to be found. In a moment, just a moment, you see that all there is the guiding inner light of pure awareness. in a Snoopy cartoon. We only live once. We only live once, Snoopy. Snoopy replies by saying, no, we only die once. We live every day. So you begin to realize many things. Some will see things much clearer. Others will see things much foggier. Is it everyone on this planet will step into the fifth dimensional frequency knowingly? No. Some of us will. Others will have more lifetimes. And their awareness will not be there. And when you go within and you're in your heart mind, you know this. It's not you know it. It isn't something sad or that's all ego mind. It's a knowing that some of the gods will do other lifetimes until they become fully aware. Now, how do we do that? We do it by these bodies. That's what these bodies are for. Bodies are for to enjoy life and experience what we choose to experience, and then we're out of here. What would happen in the event that the majority of us on this planet knew in our heart minds, without a shadow of a doubt, that it was all temporary? We knew that. See, when we enter these lives, we don't know really anything. We got amnesia, we're in a baby body, and we're completely vulnerable, wide open. And so we grow, body grows. Programming kicks in. We form a personality and we form character through what we've been told. And as we experience on our own, other things come into play. But most of the time, we are being controlled. Most of the time. By what? A control freak. Which is what? Which is the ego mind. And so we're pulled through life. This is why we have so much dissension towards each other, and vindictiveness, and anger, and disheartedness. That's the material physical world. And the reason that's there is because we don't know who and what we are. So what would happen in the event that we all decided, those of us who are aware to a certain extent, decided to be together, to unify, across the board, across the planet? Where there wasn't this conflict or ego mind here and ego mind there, control freak here, control freak there, And people just let go. And they came together and they worked together. Create what? Harmony, peace, joy, bliss, contentment, stillness, all those things. And then some. And this is when you know that the majority on this planet have decided to go within. Not temporarily, say. Not once in a great while. But consistently. And that control freak, see, is there for a reason. It's there so that we can master it, and then it no longer exists. It's the same with all these other people's thoughts that replay every day. Over 60,000 of them every day. That'll be gone. You're in a forest, right? Pitch dark out. You have no idea what forest you're in or anything. No moonlight. Sky's dark. No starlight. Pitch black. Middle of a forest. Now, when you decide to go within and embrace the light that you are, your path is lit up spectacularly. You can maneuver easily. All the obstacles that we throw in front of ourselves, the branches, the trees, everything. And we maneuver effortlessly through it all because we're this big beacon of light. Now, on the opposite end, being next to you is still in the dark, not knowing that there is light. So they do the best they can to maneuver in pitch dark, to try to do what they can to get through the forest to the open ground. You can see the difference there with all of us. And the ones that worry about the boogeyman getting them, their control freak is completely in charge, completely in control. The worry, stress, fear, the control freak is completely in charge, completely in control. See, it isn't a bad thing, because once you identify that without judging, then you go into gratitude saying, I'm really grateful that I have the control freak, because it teaches me how to master it. And the way I master it is by practicing going within 24/7. I'm not saying that it's a real cinch, but the more you practice it, the more you will go within. The more you will discover things about you, both dark and light, and embracing them both with deep eternal love. There's no animosity towards yourself. It leaves. There's nothing about yourself that you dislike. That leaves. You move into deep gratitude 24/7 because you begin to discover that you are the light. You are the God. You are the pure consciousness. You are the divine perfection. You're all of those. Omnipotently powerful supreme being that never dies. So you can see, as you watch, how many are completely controlled by their control freak within them, which we know is the ego mind. But many of us, we don't know. So we give ourselves over to the control freak. That's how we live our lives. That's how we exist. Till the time comes when we leave the body. And maybe go ahead and do it again. All over again. The power that everybody seeks on this planet incessantly, control, power, fame, fortune, exposure, right? is a control freak. Wars, conflict, greed, power, control is a control freak. After a while, it doesn't really take much at all to discover this. And then you begin to realize is that the direction of mastering the control freak, so the control freak no longer exists, being in the high light of spirituality and embracing the God that you are within the body. Everything, it's all of that, see, all of that control freak, worry, stress, fear, anxiety. That's the world with the control freak. Worry, stress, fear, insecurity. Got to be secure. No, back off, go in here. I'm not going to go in the unknown because I don't know what's out there and I'm fearful of it, so I'm going to go back here. Whenever you break out or just you decide all of a sudden that you're going to do something different, which you have been fearful about, which has basically kept you from doing it. Could be years, and then eventually or finally you say, you know what? I'm going to do it. You know? And you do it. You don't try. You just say, I'm going to do it. I feel 100% confident. I am 100% confident. 100% trusting. And 100% faith in myself. And then everything changes. So in the quiet time of this meditation, all of us, at varying levels have a control freak that's running us, directing us, guiding us, right? And you watch. So in this quiet time of meditation, get into it. You should be in a comfortable position, whether lying down or sitting in an easy chair, whatever, and still. And you listen to your breath rise and fall. And you watch. You step out of the mind. You step away from it. You step away from the mind and the ego. And you watch. And you see what is coming from the control freak. You have a perfect view. You're not in judgment. You're not in fear. You're not in anxiety or stress. You're watching the control freak do its thing. The more you understand it, the more you master it. The more you master it, the more you go in deeper within. The more you go deeper within, the more aware you become. The more aware you become, the more you understand that you are the God, the love, you are the eternal grace, you're the bliss, you're the happiness, you're the joy. And that is why we're all here. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in from the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Freedom at last is yours. The moment is your own creative experience, this moment. It was created from what you chose to envision with your mind. Good news is you are free to change this vision anytime. You are free to create anything, any thought or experience you desire. All prisons in your inner world are imaginary. Nothing can imprison this outrageous creativity inside you. No need to break out of your historical ancestral prison. You are already free. And for today, sometime today, get out a pen and paper, and for about 20 minutes, write down everything that you appreciate about yourself. Small or big does not matter. Just keep writing these positive statements down. Then choose the top 3 most emotionally moving appreciations on your list. Sit down. Feel these ideas inside your body. Notice where you keep them inside. Post your list on a wall where you can read it and add to it any time in the future. Whatever you discover, revisit it again and again throughout the day. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We will return here Monday, April 1, 2024, around 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening inside or outside of you.